Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in Judges chapter 4. Again, here in chapter 4, the pattern that we will see throughout the book of Judges is taking place. Israel, they sin, they suffer, they pray, and then God supplies a deliverer. In verse 1 we read that once again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And because of that, God gave them over to a foreign king, Jabin. He was the king of Canaan. Now Jabin had a commander of his army. His name was Sisera. Sisera was the greatest general in the known world at the time. He had great strength with his army. He was seen as being invincible. One of the reasons was because he had 900 iron chariots. Now iron was very hard to come by. It was a hard metal, and so his 900 chariots, they were made of iron. Everyone else used a softer metal, copper. So whenever someone would come against Sisera, it's as though they were coming against tanks with arrows. That was how it would have seemed with iron chariots. Now because Israel had sinned, and now they were under oppression, they were under Jabin for 20 years. Then it says, they cried to the Lord for help, and God called Deborah. Now Deborah was a prophetess, and she was used as a judge to settle disputes. God had used her now, and he spoke through her. When it came time for Israel to be delivered, God wanted to use Barak. So Deborah came to Barak and said, this is what God wants you to do. It's as though Barak then said, well, that's a good plan, but I'm not going to go unless you, Deborah, go with me. That was not God's best. God wanted to honor Barak, but because he wavered in his faith, because he seemed weak, Deborah said, because of the way you're handling this, I will go, but the honor won't go to you. It's going to go to a woman. What took place next? Barak listened to Deborah and he followed her instructions. He took his army up to Mount Tabor. Now there, on the mountain, he was safe because the chariots were down in the valley. On the mountain, it was safe and secure. Down in the valley, there was danger. There was risk and there was the unknown. But God is a God of second chances. And in verse 14, at the word of Deborah, Barak was told to now go and advance. This time, with a second chance, Barak listened and he walked by faith. And he advanced. He went because he knew that God was with him. Barak advanced and God honored his faith. How do we know that God honored his faith this second time? Because Barak is listed in God's hall of faith found in Hebrews chapter 11 in verse 32. So what took place in this battle? Again, God did the miraculous. In Judges chapter 5, verse 21, we understand that God caused a flash flood to occur, and he turned the valley into mud, which stopped those iron chariots in their tracks. The army, they left the chariots where they were, and they fled on foot. Barak pursued, and he killed all of the men in the army. He destroyed the army. Sisera, however, he fled and escaped into the tent of Jael. Now, she was the wife of Heber. Sisera was there in her tent, and he was tired, and so she had him lay down. While he was asleep, the word says that she took a stake and she drove it into the ground through Sisera's temple. She killed the greatest general of all time. The honor for his death went to the woman. However, God did honor Barak's faith, as he again is listed in the hall of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. So what does this chapter tell us? Two things. That God uses men and women of faith. God also gives second chances and he honors faith. Once more, I mentioned this yesterday, I love what 2 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 9 says. For the eyes of the Lord range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and he's looking for people of faith, men and women of faith. God wants to use me, and he wants to use you. And God is a God of second chances. God honors faith. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.